very cheerful morning, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on effective communication through body language. Today we would learn some techniques to present yourself so that your communication look effective. Well, whenever we communicate with the people around us, it's not just the matter of the words we use. No, it is the whole body, it is a posture, gesture, eye contact, everything play its part. Whenever we cultivate a new skill, whenever we gain new knowledge, we foster self-growth, we require whole of our senses to involve. Similarly, when we do communication, it's not just our words give us the power to engage people. No, it's the whole body. So we engage people with our whole body, our eye contact, our pose and pace. These play a very important role when you talk in public. Nowadays, as we are living in the modern world, so we need to come across with so many people in our daily routine. And how do we present ourselves? That matters. So before we would begin with the webinar, which would be a PPT presentation, we must understand few things. First, whenever you are communicating in public, what you need to keep in your mind is to feel energized. You must feel energized when you are in front of anybody. Your inner energy will definitely boost a confidence in you that you are someone to speak to. You have some views which you want to share with others. Next, you need to feel free, natural. Don't restrict your body. When you restrict your body, then you feel stiff. You are not able to display whatever emotions, whatever feelings you are having in your body. Then, mindset. You need to understand why you are at that place. What has brought you there? Are you there for some interview, for some job, or you just want to present yourself? So this mindset will definitely give you an idea of how you need to present yourself, the importance of that particular event or that particular meeting. That will definitely give you a boost. So these things you need to keep in your mind. What I believe is the main thing which you can practice from now onwards is your eye contact. Eye contact is a facet of body language which helps you foster trust in the person you talk to. When you engage the person, when you just try to be a part of their talk, then it definitely gives you another level of talk. So with this, we would begin with a webinar now. That would be a PPT presentation in which we would discuss body language in detail, different aspects of body language, and the techniques to read the body language of others, and at the same time how to improve your own body language. So let's begin.
A very warm welcome everyone to the webinar on effective communication through body language. In this webinar, I would try to share some tricks, techniques with you, how you can have your communication as an impressive one. Well, because this is the art of language these days. As it's well said, the art of communication is the language of leadership. So if you really want to be liked, and yes, you really want to be listened to by others, then you definitely need to possess this skill. So in this webinar, we would understand what exactly body language is, why it is really important, about the genesis of body language, and how to read it effectively, and how you can improve upon your own body language when you are in any societal settings. So we would begin with communication. How we can make our communication more engaging and effective? First of all, for that, we need to understand that what exactly communication is. Communication is just sharing our thoughts and ideas to our surroundings through some mediums. So it has a proper pattern. It's a technical process. There is a sender and a channel and a receiver if we need to just summarize it in one way. Otherwise, noise and many other barriers can also come across in this model, but we would pick up this only because we need it for our further information. So sender and the channel and the receiver. So where we would focus in this webinar is the channel, whether it is verbal or it is non-verbal. Communication is just imparting or exchanging of information by speaking, writing, or using some other medium. It can be verbal and non-verbal. So in today's webinar, our focus is on non-verbal communication. When it comes to non-verbal communication, we believe that communication works for those who work at it. And it is true. Non-verbal communication is much more important than our verbal communication, because in verbal communication we use only words, but for non-verbal communication we can say that no one can whistle a symphony. It takes a whole orchestra to play it. So for non-verbal communication we need to work upon many other parts other than our spoken language. So body language. This is one of the most important study we need to understand these days. Our body speaks more than anything else. Sometimes our body language says more about us, our emotions and our moods, what exactly we don't want to show or reveal. But somehow it comes on our face, it comes in our body. So we would understand this one by one. So as we say that impressive communication is to hear what isn't being said, and that is the world today is, that we need to understand what the people are not saying. They are showing through their body language, they are showing through their actions. If you are able to read it correctly or appropriately, then you can master the skill, and this would definitely be helpful for you in public and in all the societal arenas wherever you be. So first of all, we would begin it as biologically. If we say that our emotions, these are our emotions and our behavior which guide or which is a major force behind our body language. But that is because of the limbic brain. Limbic brain is basically the emotional aspect of our brain. The responsibilities related to feelings, reactions, all are of limbic brain. These intentions are processed and expressed by it immediately. As you must have seen that as the examples I have put here in the PPT, babies' eyes dilate when they see their mothers. Of course, it's a natural emotion. When people see somebody they like the most, they immediately feel happy or there is a smile on their face. Sometimes when there is a bad news, our immediate reaction to that is that we compress our lips or we feel immediately sad. And when sometimes at our workplace we are not given the due importance or we are asked to spare some time, extra time, overtime, then that emotion, that feeling on our face and in our body is the reaction our limbic brain gives to. Right? So our emotions are basically processed by this system of brain that reacts immediately. That does not think and process, that reacts immediately, and it comes to our face. As many of you many a times say to your colleagues, to your family members, that it is not truth. I cannot feel it. I don't have the gut feeling. So when you need to study body language, you all somewhere somehow read body language. But to some extent, if we really want to be expert in that, then we must know the details in that. We all read the body language of our near and dear ones when they are not in a good mood or when they are not happy. We are definitely able to detect that. But how we can do it professionally, for that we need to know the basic details behind it. So first thing we have learned is that it is all caused because of our limbic brain. And when I would say that expert elucidate that applying the knowledge of nonverbal behavior in our societal arena allow us to communicate more successfully as compared to relying on the verbal mode. This is true in the case of a detective and a magician. You must have seen that those people are the masters and experts in reading body language, and their work goes on that only. They don't rely on the words what people say. They just try to catch your body language, try to, I would say, modify it according to their need. And this is how they do well in their work. So that is very important, that we must know to need to read the body language. And yes, never forget to use your gut feeling, your intuition. That is the first signal your own mind gives you. Go by your gut feeling, go by your intuition every time. So, if we now move back to the past to know about the genesis of body language, when there was no language, when people were not sure of the words related to happiness, sadness, anger, fear, or frustration, what they used to do? They used to do their body language. They used to use their body language. They used to express it through their emotions, through their body, through their face, right? You can now imagine in your mind that through their gestures and their postures, they used to show their anger and the feeling of the happiness, the overexcited feelings. You must have seen it somewhere, somehow, in movies or in any other storybooks if you've read any in this context. So that was the time. Body language dates back to that time. It's not a new word, but yes, the serious study of body language is the modern work. Nowadays, people, especially in corporate sector, in different departments, they focus more on the body language than the words of the person. Because words can deceive, but body language can never do this. It is adopted as a tool to enhance our communication and strengthen our interpersonal relations. Now, I would talk about the noteworthy researchers in this field, which I think we need to read if you really want to be an expert in this. So, first, American anthropologist who founded kinesics as a field of research in nonverbal behavior, it was done in 1950s by Ray, and he did extensive study in this. Next in the line is Desmond Morris. Desmond Morris interpreted human behavior based on ethological research. It reveals that some of our expressions and some of our body language gestures are from the animal context, the evolution we've been from. So he interpreted in that way. Paul Ekman and W.B. Friesen, they also deciphered the facial action coding system, that is FACS, to describe and interpret and measure the facial behaviors. According to them, we use more than 3,000 gestures when we talk, when we behave, when we are showing ourselves to public. Now, concluding all the aspects of nonverbal communications, we come with the list. Well, to study nonverbal behavior in detail, we must know the different aspects of nonverbal communication. The first thing, the most important thing is body language. That is known as the other name, kinesics. So body language, body motions such as related to shrugs, foot tapping, drumming fingers, eyes, facial expressions and gestures, all are part of our body language, which we are going to study today. Next is proxemics. They speak of the proximity we have with the people around us, the near and dear ones, or the people who are distant to us. So we would study in this. Haptics is related to touch. Oculesics is eye contact. And the other, posture, adornment, locomotion, all these formulate a part of our body language. And if we just read it, observe it, and then we are easily able to pose it in our personality and also read it in others' personality. So the first one, kinesics, categorized by Paul Ekman and Wallace V. Friesen in 5 parts. We would study it in this way only: emblems, illustrators, effective displays, regulators, and adapters. These are basically different sort of gestures and movements we make, and how we make it, that we would see now. Emblems, the first one. Emblems are those non-verbal signs and signals that are easily identified, as they are used quite often in specific context. These basically depict the symbolic versions of the signs we want to convey. Words, as you can see, the second one is the victory sign. First one is related to the phone call. Whether you call or something, you can signal a person listening to you or looking at you. Thumbs up, and the other one sign. So we all are aware of these signs. These are known as emblems, which are easily understood by the listener or the person who is directly looking at you. If you signal this, you don't need to use words. Next is illustrators. Illustrators are those subconscious movements occurring regularly. And sometimes when we, like if I want to give you a symbol that this thing is really big, then I would use by both my hands and place it in that manner that this would definitely give you an idea that this thing is this much big. When, as in the photograph shown, it is we are late, what time is it? So the person is showing through his fingers, right? And the other one, call me, the person is giving you an illustrator along with his words. So these are subconscious ones which we occasionally use here and there. Affective displays. Affective displays are all those facial gestures which we display specific emotions through. They are less conscious than illustrators. They are the sudden emotions directly we come across with. Immediately feeling fear or feeling surprised, shock. These are all affective displays. Regulators. Regulators are the movements which we use to continue the conversation or just to maintain the flow of a conversation, in which we just make the speaker understand that we are listening. We just do head nodding or we pronounce some words like yeah. So these are those regulators which help us to maintain the flow of our talk. Next, adapters. Adapters are basically to adjusting your own body. Sometimes you just want to make yourself comfortable in the talk. You shift your position on the seat or you just a bit of scratching in your face or somewhere else. So these are just some sort of specific uneasiness you have in your body, or sometimes you just pick on your clothes. You can do these things. These are normal, but you should not overdo these. These are the finest gestures we show in public, but we must know to control these gestures. If we are able to do it, what do we need to do is we just need to be conscious of our own self in public. And yes, others we definitely make out. We observe people and we immediately point out that this person is feeling nervous, this person is feeling very confident, but same goes with us. So we must work on this in a proper way. Next, can we say something without saying a word? Yes, of course. As you've just learned about different gestures, a major portion of our communication is done non-verbally. Non-verbal talks not only communicate major aspects, but at the same time they complement our talks. Sometimes our words do not match, but the non-verbal communication replaces the verbal communication. It regulates it. It helps in various ways. MEHRABIAN'S model of communication. This is one of the widely accepted model of communication, and people refer to it occasionally when they talk about body language and the voice and tone, which are really important in our talk. So, 7%, only 7% relates to our spoken words. The rest is our voice, tone, and body language. And as you can see, a lion's share is of body language. In our personality, when we talk, when we communicate, it is our body language which make us communicate effectively, not our words. Body language is a superpower that can ever have, that can make you, that you can ever have, and that can make you just unique in the crowd. It has the potential to make your life or break it completely. You must have seen people with a lot many degrees or many things, but they are not able to do public speaking. They feel shivering, they feel nervousness, and there they stop. They say that, oh no, I cannot do it. No, that is just the barrier. If you cross that threshold and just step forward, you will realize that that is just a moment of 10 seconds or 12 seconds in your life. Once you've started saying something, then you will just win the world. Just try it, practice it. In this webinar, whatever I'll tell you, these are based on researches, and you can improve your body language and read the body language some other person only if you practice this. Practice it regularly. Without practice, nothing can change. So, how body language is a superpower? It increases our self-confidence. If we are possessing a good posture and we have the matter what we want to speak, we would definitely feel self-confident. And if we are confident enough, then yes, we know our self-esteem. We become charismatic when we are in public. We are able to engage the audience, appeal, and get attraction of our audience. And in this way, we are not only successful in our work front, but we are successful in all other dimensions of our social life. Our relationships get better with this. And one thing which we all want is public speaking. And engaging, impressive public speaking is the product of fine body language. If we really want to adapt that, we need to work on it. First thing we need to do is we need to be conscious of our own body language. Now there are some myths about body language which all might have heard or read somewhere. The first one is no eye contact means lying or nervousness. Well, this is not the case. We need to see accurately if we are actually reading the body language of the other person correctly or not. No eye contact doesn't necessarily mean that the person is lying or nervous. It can be that if a person is not meeting the eyes, he may mean that he is not comfortable, or he is just feeling uneasy or something like that. So it doesn't mean that the person is only lying or hiding something. Second, crossing arms. We just make a perception in our mind that if a person crosses his or her arms, then that person is not interested to talk to us. No, this is not the case. It may mean that the person feels comfortable, like if the person sitting on a chair and the chair is without any arm rests, then the person would just cross his arms to make it more comfortable. And this may be the sign that that person is just thinking of something. So you cannot say that person crossing arms means that he is not interested. Fidgeting. When we just cross our fingers many a times, just fidget it, people take it wrong. They feel that the person is just hiding something or he is not speaking truth. It is just common. Fidgeting is really common when you are appearing in public in front of a large audience. So it can be the reason that it is your first time to a large audience and you are just fidgeting your fingers. There is nothing sort of hiding. So you cannot make these myths facts in your mind. Anyone who talks fast is conning you. No, this is not the case. People who are over energetic or people who are nervous, extreme happiness, all these things lead to talking fast. So you cannot make predictions over this. A good verbal communication will compensate for inadequate body language. Many of you might have this idea that no, if I would use good words, if I would use proper speech patterns, then my body language would not be noticed. This is wrong. Our 3000 gestures, as I already said, those are picked upon by people. So you cannot say it. So with this, I think we have seen that body language are the signals, body language signals are the signposts on your road to success. If you have worked through all these or you are working, you will definitely see a change in your body language. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this. I hope this had brought some knowledge to you about these different aspects of body language. Thank you.